And we're good.
Hello, everyone. This is your favorite homosexual feline, our cat's gay. Our grand Gaytriarch Prince of Queens has abdicated the throne for tonight. He didn't explicitly appoint me, so he left us in chaos, so I wrestled control from Bacon, from Spacepan, and our Appalachian Gaytriarch, Feral Cat.
You pulled my ears.
Here we go.
Did you just dox him?
I did.
You just sizzled my bacon.
I totally doxed. I sizzled your bacon. I flashed in your pan, and I totally pulled another cat. I feline shamed. Anyway.
Wait, who got doxed?
Here's my version. I apparently you.
You didn't call me Jason.
Well, you said you're from Appalachia.
Yeah.
No, but your profile does.
I am.
Are you a gay man? I'm talking to the audience now. All of you shut up. Are you a gay man who questions the gay order of things? Have you seen the light at the end of the tunnel and thought, oh my God, it's a fallopian tube? Ew. Well, then maybe this is the podcast for you. If you follow what I'm talking about, you're either using a lot of drugs or you've watched me before and you know where this is going. So welcome all to the Gaytriarchy number 20. What are we calling it?
I just called it retweet
this shit.
Retweet you bastards.
Retweet you bastards. Or if we're to read it literally, retweet you RDS exclamation point. Because that's how you say things.
Well, I can't put bastards because
yes.
YouTube will have a fit if I did.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems so Victorian.
You can't even put gun.
Okay.
Oh God, I just said gun. We're fucked.
Oh, totally. Well, anyway, let's introduce everyone, starting from left to right. Spacepan.
Sure. This is Space Pam. I do the ANCAP thing, the MRA thing, a little bit of white knighting for bronies, for MGTOW, for anybody that I feel, gets hard done by, because I think there's a lot of bullshit out there. For those of you who I guess are familiar with me, just probably most of the people who would be watching, I'm actually fucking off to Hong Kong in about a week, so that's mostly what's on my mind. I have to tie up all my loose ends and pack up my entire life and move it into country. It's gonna be really fun. So this might be the last time I'm on here for a while because I don't really know what my schedule is gonna be like, but I don't know. We'll figure something out. Anyway,
also time difference with our gaping cons.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a 13-hour time difference, but I don't care about that. I'm usually awake around 3 or 4 in the morning anyway. I like to sleep in the Einstein,
well, honestly,
where it's in 2 to 3 hour chunks, ideally if it's possible.
Isn't the biggest issue though, wouldn't you have to use a VPN to connect to YouTube from China behind the Great Firewall?
From China, but Hong Kong doesn't have that.
Because Google services are banned.
No, not in Hong Kong.
I thought they did after. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
No, Hong Kong's not China.
So this is kind of well, yes,
it's the China that's not China.
If you ask some
it's
Chinese
kind of
people, they might insist upon it, but anybody in Hong Kong, they're just no, fuck that, we're our own fucking thing, and they are they're totally they're their own Western country basically. So, but yeah, so
no, I am not denying
all that fun stuff, or just get a VPN.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying their separate culturehood or the fact that by all accounts they should be a fully independent nation. I'm just saying that they kind of aren't. They're sort of as I understand it, they are to China what Puerto Rico is to the United States if Puerto Rico had been rented out by Spain for 100 years and then all of a sudden we took it over again. That would be an interesting thing to talk about at some point. But before we delve into I like that. That sounds like a really dirty position, actually.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
So on that note, on the note of dirty positions, Farrell, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, this is Farrell, aka Jason. I run the Martial Lore podcast, and I'm the Gaytriarch of Middle America, more specifically the South. Next.
I thought you were the Gaytriarch of Appalachia. I thought you were the Gaytriarch of Appalachia. Was
And
your
title? That would be the. I think he's.
Yeah, I said Middle America. I meant the South and Appalachia. Shit.
Wait, did you just totally annex territory without telling us? That's
Only
hilarious.
little.
Okay, Space Pam.
Like playing Risk.
Okay. Very risky business. All right, Bacon, hiding behind the Gaytriarch logo.
Hi, everybody. I am the State of Bacon. I do things on YouTube and engage in Twitch thoughterry. That's my opener. That's all I got. Besides beer, of
so
course,
if you're a gay, so if you're a gay thought, is that like a gwat? What do you call a gay male thought?
It's still
I think
thought.
it's kind of a gay man.
Gwat.
It's still thought because you're still that over there.
True. Yeah, I'm just gonna call you a gwat now. But, although I could call you a bot since you're a bisexual, but then people would think that you were not a real person. Well, that'd be interesting.
Well, I'm not.
I have no proof that any of you are real anyway.
Well,
I'm not. I'm a figment of your imagination.
You're a product of digital schizophrenia.
Yeah, I'm actually in your head. I'm not real.
Wouldn't that be... It would be really interesting if we found out that we're actually all bots and we didn't know it. Like we're just all talking to each other thinking that we're real, and each of us are bots that we don't know or about.
It's very
Honestly,
BS.
That would be like a really confusing...
Like I want that to be true. Like I want that end up being robots.
That would. I still need to watch Westworld, but Farrell definitely has the point that is very Battlestar Galactica. Like, spoilers for those of you who haven't already seen a almost 10, 15-year-old series now. But yeah, all the Cylons at the end realize that they are Cylons, and they didn't know that, and we didn't know that. It was really cool. Although I wish that they had not rushed that. But
it's gonna be the episode where we go like total full like nerd stream because Prince isn't here to stop us, and then he'll like find it later and be pissed.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm not going to allow that is because he will get totally mad at us and never let us run the Gaytriarchy without him again.
Oh, come on, y'all. Look at our little
We're
faces.
going to
How can you stay mad at that?
I don't see faces. I just see avatars.
Oh.
No, we will get there. Like I definitely think this is going to be a slightly more freeform podcast, if nothing else, because you all know my superpower is derailing the conversation anyway. So without our Grand Gaytriarch's firm hand to keep us in place, expect some chaos. But we'll do our best just to make sure that we don't all get killed by Prince and possibly kicked off the Gaytriarchy.
Well, I do work with kids, so I do know how to bitch slap some people into line verbally. Except for wait, I can call you guys.
Yeah, I've just trouble. Yeah, I'd rather not find out myself, but I do have 9 lives, so I guess out of all of you, I am in the best position. So,
look, I got a bunker in the middle of nowhere, and I'm still scared of that shit.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I am more. I guess it's a testament to my kind of personality. I'm more afraid of upsetting people than I am of almost anything else. Like, and I know that it's not really that big of a deal upsetting people in the grand scheme of things, but I don't know, way I was raised or what, I'm not alpha enough. I don't know. Like, but
wait, the way you were
like
raised,
people.
The way you were raised, that's my thing.
Yeah, you know, I don't think if we really want to go off on who had the most neurotic childhood, I mean, I know we're all kind of screwed in the head, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I can go with the best of you guys when it comes to, and I'm not saying I had a hard life. I'm just saying I had a strange upbringing. Like most people don't have my life story, and most of you know about it.
Yeah, I get it.
The whole going back into the closet thing is kind of like a mythical kind of card. You know, that's like if this was Magic the Gathering, that would be the primal surge in your deck with the defenders that creates all the mana really fast. You can cast it right away.
Yeah,
but you're still a gay white male.
Unicorn.
But you're still a gay white male. That makes you unimpressed. That makes you a
my term.
Well, I mean, without even getting
because it fits really well.
What is
chaotic and like good?
What is?
Like, and they're sparkly, and there's like not very many of them.
Yeah,
Like unicorns are totally gay, so it just like makes
I love
sense
unicorns.
for gay anarchists. I guess you could do gay
Mhm.
libertarian if you want to be all big tent about it,
Um,
but fuck that noise. It's gay anarchists or unicorns.
If you were well, you know what I would call it if you're a gay anarchist? I'd call you a glitter bomb.
Oh, I
Because
kind of like
anarchists
that.
are always
I kind of
blowing
like
shit up, but
that.
gay people are full of glitter.
That's the left wing.
There you go. Go forth and use
like
it.
edgelord retards though. That's not like the ANCAP kids, the right wing ones. We're really
Yeah,
You're
me
making a-
personally, I'm full of
You're
like
making a
acid and venom.
you're making a distinction without a significant difference.
no. We color coded ourselves.
Well, hey, let's move.
Like I said, we color coded ourselves. We are very organized, even the dumb ones.
So, what do we got for topics today, guys?
Well, we've got Disney firing James Gunn, who wants
So
to jizz all over this one with a cannon of righteous gay fury.
Yeah,
Or you
it's
want me to just read this
social
shit?
media bukkake.
So
all
let me-
around.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Oh God, you're here.
Oh
I
my
was-
god, you have our leader has returned.
Yeah,
Hi.
no, I'm
You've told-
I'm only going to be here for a second.
Yes.
Yeah, hi. I am hanging out at home before I go to the movie with my friend, who's a gamer friend of mine who came over to my house, and then he all like gets on the video games, and I'm just like sort of standing there because we have about 10-15 minutes to kill. So I figured I'd make an appearance and say hi to everybody. So how's everybody doing?
Well, you totally invalidated my monologue, but
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Why?
Chris, you just cock-blocked the whole show. We had it all set up perfectly.
Well, you still have time to
no,
do it, right?
I did a very bad version. Oh
Okay.
yeah, no, I just did a really bad version of your opening monologue, but because since I was the one opening up the ceremonies,
Oh, okay.
but now it's become very anticlimactic because you have returned.
Heaven wants to know
wait.
what movie you're seeing.
Oh,
Our friend Holly.
okay. We are going to go see.
What's up?
We're going to go see The Shining because we don't want to get sued, boy.
The Shinning.
No, The Shining. Do you remember that? Do you remember that Simpsons episode that was?
Oh, okay.
They had it was one of the Halloween ones, and they
Oh,
and they were like
yes.
they were like it was somehow groundskeeper Willie was the guy at the place, and they're like, oh, this is almost like that movie. He's like, you mean The Shining? And they're like, I think it was called and he's like, you want to get sued, boy?
I love Groundskeeper Willie.
That reminds me of this stand-up comic.
Oh, I
as a
love
bit
that.
He did like produced by Roman Polanski, and the whole joke was like, "What's Roman Polanski gonna do? Like fucking come into the country and like complain about it? Like he's like there's a warrant out or whatever. Like he can't do it."
But yeah.
Produced by Roman Polanski.
The reason that we're seeing it is because so we're this is like my like my Overwatch posse is this the friend that's here is part of that. So I talk about Overwatch not uncommonly on air, and this is actually the first time I've met one of them in person. And there is this movie that came out over the summer spring called Ready Player One. Which is basically like if someone were to make a movie out of Overwatch type games, that would be the movie. So it's like you have your little clan of people who become kind of like your friends, but it exists entirely in the gaming world and blah 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 blah. So it didn't take long for all of us to eventually see the movie, and in that movie, there's an entire segment where they're in a virtual reality version of The Shining. So I had to ask everybody, like, have you seen The Shining? And my friend has not seen it, and he also lives locally. And so we had a reason to hang out anyway due to some other stuff. And so I'm like, well, I will take you out to see The Shining. How about that? So that's what we're going to do.
That is a truly awesome movie. Stanley Kubrick was one of the greatest directors to ever live. And I think that unless the theater is full of cynical assholes that talk on their phone the whole time, you will enjoy it immensely.
Oh, it won't be because it's a small
By the way,
theater.
people, if you're one of those...
It's a small theater that has like only like 50 seats, 50 or so seats. And to be perfectly truthful, I just want to say, and then I should actually take off. Imagine so my friend is like 20 years old. He literally will turn 21 in like a month or so. And you see a movie that's like a current movie where it has the movie The Shining as part of the plot. Like they enter into a virtual reality version of The Shining, and it's all terrifying for everybody in the plot of the movie. But like, you've never seen The Shining at all because you just haven't, because it's that came out, you know, like long before you were born, not even like, you know, 10 years before you were born like it did for us, but like fucking, you know, well over 20 years before you were born. You have no real idea. So I was like, so he has no idea what he's getting into actually seeing this movie, because it's legitimately disturbing. Like, it's a fucking legitimately fucked up movie. I was trying to explain to him, but like, he's gonna have to see it for himself. But I gotta go and make sure he does. Okay.
Wow, I was like 3 when that came out.
What?
Well, we're glad you
Let
stopped
us know
by.
what. Yes,
Yeah.
let us know what he thought of it.
I absolutely will. Talk to you guys later.
Have fun.
Bye bye.
But you know, that reminds me of actually the I call it the Family Guy effect. It's like with Family Guy, it's so packed full of references, right? That there's kind of like two sides of it. Like either you're young enough or you're too young to actually get all the references, or you're old enough to. And it's kind of like the same deal, I guess. You know, similar at least. Because I found myself definitely on the younger end of that veil, where like virtually all of my cultural references I saw in Family Guy first, and then like later on I'd find them like sprinkled throughout reality if I saw older things.
It would. I mean, I'm trying to imagine what that'd be like. The best example I can think of, like someone seeing a product that's based on The Shining but not having seen it, would be sort of like watching Spaceballs without ever having seen Star Wars. Like, you might appreciate it, but the references would appear incredibly random, and there would be no rhyme or reason to it.
Exactly. I have a really good like pointed example, which is in Family Guy they have a scene where Brian basically like sings "Never Gonna Give You Up." It's not really a Rickroll, but like he sings the song and it's just featured at the end of the episode. And there's a point where the bartender, they have a black bartender who jumps up and then kicks his feet out and does the splits in the air and then touches his toes to the feet, right? And it's this like really weird like animated thing. Like when you see it in the Family Guy thing, like, oh, that was kind of awkward. But then like later on, I eventually saw the actual music video and saw the guy do that, and I was like, oh, holy shit, that was totally in that scene. And that's like literally a split second, but it just like sticks with you because it's weird without the reference.
Yeah, references without source material are basically acid trips of just total randomness, or
Yeah, but
just
they don't
really
kinda
hard
work.
to understand.
I feel blessed because I got to experience it twice.
Oh, and to rope that concept back into the news and what we're doing, this is like this is like why straight girls claiming to be non-binary don't understand what it means to be, well, gay in air quotes. Anyways, let's get to the news.
Did we want to talk more about
subtle
that
segue back to reality
article?
Anyways, I'll read some of the article, and if you want to just
Yeah, we're
shit on something and pump and dump on it, just let me know. Anyways, director James Gunn has been fired from the upcoming. What?
They said you make that sound so much worse.
What?
Well, never mind. Just keep going.
What if you want to pump and dump on the news?
Just quit saying it.
Hey,
I don't know why. That's just bad. Go on.
I am a man who fancies other men. I can say it. Anyways, director James Gunn has been.
I will break an egg over your face.
Has been fired from the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 after old tweets containing offensive jokes about pedophilia and rape were unearthed by far-right activists. Okay, Disney confirmed his firing Friday. The offensive attitudes and statements discovered on James' Twitter feed are indefensible and inconsistent with our studio's values, and we have severed our business relationship with him, Disney Studios chairman Alan Horn told Variety. Gunn also said, I understand and accept the business decision made today. So apparently he's getting reverse PewDiePied, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like.
All right, so I don't know if it doesn't look like the article is going to go into it too much.
Oh, here's a tweet.
Basically, for any. Okay, good.
Oh, no. Oh, this is just one. Someone. Oh, James. Okay, wait. Oh, well. I don't know. Let's see. Are there tweets?
So for anyone who.
Okay, it doesn't actually
show. For anyone who doesn't know. Yeah. I've been following this a bit in the news, so I think I can talk about this. So for anyone who doesn't know, James Gunn, who made 2 of my favorite Marvel movies, about 10 years ago in 2008, he started making a lot of jokes on the internet. I don't know if he started them, but these tweets are from 2008, and there are a lot of them, really edgy jokes and
2011.
weird statements. Mostly,
2011.
yeah. I think some of them are from 2008. Oh, okay. I thought someone. Okay, Monday Matt said they were from 2008, but I don't know. I'm sure there's quite a few that they combed through over a long period. Regardless, long time ago, a bunch of edgy jokes about pedophilia, rape, just random offensive shit. So basically, but it was on Twitter. So it was like 4chan, but on Twitter. Because, the internet is full of just really deeply disturbing and a lot of unfunny humor about really gross and disturbing things. And now everyone's really upset about it. Now, there's been no accusation. This hasn't turned into a Me Too thing yet. I sincerely hope it doesn't. If something was to find out that James Gunn actually did something, this would be a different story, and I would change my stance on it. But as with the evidence that we have now, my position is this is understandable from Disney's point of view because they don't want any controversy, but really slimy, I think. Because here's the thing. Making offensive humor on the internet, even if the jokes aren't funny, and most of these jokes are not, but even if the jokes are not funny, even if they're weird, disturbing, gross, just ew, they're still just jokes. And you can't accuse someone of being a pedophile because they make a lot of jokes about pedophilia. I know the logic is where there's smoke, there's fire. But my personal take on this is like, I don't know about that. For the main reason that I think that people that make humorous statements about really dark and disturbing things, my personal feeling is my first thought was like, well, I wonder whether he himself had suffered from some sort of trauma, some sort of abuse in that thing, because it's way more common than people are comfortable talking about.
Well, humor is
And
probably one
often
of the most
making
common
humor-
coping mechanisms.
Totally is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My first thought when I see someone, when I see someone making humor about child sex and rape and all this stuff, my thought isn't that he's a pedophile. My thought is like, oh God, something terrible must have happened to this person. And is that it's not necessarily the smartest way in this day and age to deal with it. But here's the thing: this happened in the past, back when people used to think that the internet was like a free and open place. And I don't know. Like I said, if something actually came up of this, if we found that like something actually happened, that would be one thing. But I don't particularly care for this too much. I think that, and by care for this, I mean I don't like this kind of thing. I don't like people being brought down for something which is unsubstantiated as of yet. Because here's the thing: that I really wonder whether there will be any kind of rallying cry to Tim Gunn's defense, for the simple fact that it's about children, and that's kind of like the ultimate hot wire when it comes to our culture. Any culture, really, except certain cultures that shall remain nameless who are destroying Europe right now.
Well, he should have been fired just because his last name is Gunn.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, no, he shouldn't have. Are you saying he shouldn't have shot his mouth off?
Yes.
My issue with the way that they're doing this now is there's no room for any kind of growth. There's no room for any kind of statute of limitations on it. You say something shitty 20 years ago, just off the cuff, and all of a sudden that defines you for your entire life. And in the real world, that's just bullshit. You know what I mean?
It is. It's like when they're going... totally. I mean, we're seeing this more and more where people are going into the past as far as back as they can to find, and then judging it by current standards, which is inappropriate. A great example of this would be
Incredibly inappropriate.
What's her name? Laura. What is her name? I can't remember. The author of Little House on the Prairie.
Laura Ingalls Wilder,
anyway,
if I remember right.
Yes, Ingalls. That's right. Yes. Posthumously removing her award that was previously named after her for literary excellence, I believe, because a book that was written over 100 years ago is politically incorrect. That's ridiculous. And it wasn't even a racist thing. It was accurate of the time. Things were different back then, and I feel like if you try to judge the past by current standards, maybe it'll make you feel superior, holier than thou, but you're not going to learn anything to what you were saying, Farrell, about growth. You can't grow from mistakes that were made in the past if you just condemn them and don't try to understand, well, why was it this way? It's all well and good to say that, like Germany is the most evil country in the world because look at the Nazis. And of course, the Nazi party was an evil movement that did unspeakable things. However, it's not fair to just say Germany was bad because Nazis. Like you have to look at Germany. You have to look at history and try to understand, well, how could something like this happen? Why did it happen?
And I think a better comparison would be Germany had Nazis back in the 1940s. Therefore, Germany is always bad. That's how I'm seeing them doing this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think, yeah. Like what you're saying is like, if something bad happened in the past, then that means that it's still relevant today. I think we might be going a little bit weird on that one, but I think we all know what we're saying, even if we're not articulating it perfectly. But yeah, I don't like this retroactive judgment. It's like when the Mormons have to get baptisms for their ancestors that weren't Mormon. I think it's like it's something that you do to make yourself feel better, but it literally changes nothing, and it accomplishes nothing other than perhaps, I don't know, like a sort of like psycho-spiritual placebo effect, maybe. I don't know. And if I'm wrong and there actually is a point to... Oh, go ahead.
Huh? Oh, no, do you have another...
Space Fan? Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I was just going to say, I'm mostly in agreement, because
like, Mormons actually aren't the only correct faith.
Oh, sorry, what?
There's a lag. I seem to be speaking over... No, I'm going to stop now. You go.
Okay, sure. Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, mostly I'm agreeing with most of what you're saying here. It's just kind of much ado about nothing. I've been looking through the comment section on this one, and what you find in the pattern is that like every single person bringing it up is like they're kind of all deflecting and using it to grandstand and then segue it into like another one of their issues. Like it's usually like oh, what about this? It's a lot of whataboutism and things like that. There's one guy who points out, like, you work for Disney, you make jokes about pedophiles, you got to go. And I can kind of see that perspective, but the timing is kind of ridiculous, right? Because you look at 2011 and it's like that was a pretty long time ago. And it is a good point that, like, what's the standard you're demanding if, like, you have to dig this far back to find something? I generally like Jack Posobiec. I don't really have an issue with them or whatever. Like, it seems like he just does reporting. In this article, they like slander him as like a conspiracy theorist or whatever. The only one that I'm aware of that was kind of questionable was when he like blamed an Amtrak derailment on Antifa, and it ended up not being that. But like, I don't see people like promoting that as this big Antifa deal after the facts came out. You know what I mean? So this article, and that kind of gives an example of what the commentators are doing here, where he says, guns firing occurred just hours after messages from pundits like Mike Cernovich and Jack Posobiec, who are known for pushing conspiracy theories, including about a murdered Democratic National Committee staffer, went viral with images of old tweets from Gunn joking about pedophilia and other sexual crimes. Like, they're using this to grandstand and spin this into like, oh, fuck Mike Cernovich and fuck Jack Posobiec. And it's like, why? Like, I don't know. To me, it seems like that was like a really petty side shot. Yeah, it's so biased too. Also, like, hi, his name is Seth Rich. Like, that really kind of shocked me that they allude to it about a murdered Democrat. It was Seth Rich, and like he had a name, and like that was a really fucked up situation. And the idea that people just like sweep it under the rug. I heard Ben Shapiro do this just like a week or so ago, and it really bothered me because I wasn't expecting that from him at least. But anyway, that's kind of all I'm saying. It's just this whataboutism. People just spinning it into their own narrative.
I just gotta say, my feelings don't care about your facts. That's not how that's supposed to go. Never mind.
Well, you got the words right.
That was so. Order. That was so factophobic.
I'm fatphobic.
That's a new word now.
I thought
factophobic.
I thought factophobic was just social justice's stupid name.
I mean, standpoint theory is basically
it's a more honest name.
True.
Standpoint theory? I know I've heard that. What is that again?
Well, the most basic way of explaining it, at least how I would explain it, is that it's this idea that like your truth depends on who you are, or your standpoint, so to speak. So it's this idea that like truth means different things to different people depending on where you are. But like to some degree, it makes sense, right? Like you enter a room from a different angle, you see a different part of the room, you know. And there is something to be said for like people having different perspective and experiences and things. The problem is that it goes into like really, really crazy territory. We actually, I think we got a little bit into this territory with Ben Boyce last week, but it's a black hole. It's a black hole of just sophistry and bullshit.
It's just POMO, a subjectivity. Like there is no objective truth. Everything is relative. Therefore, nothing matters. Like so, it's like an interesting thought experiment with no practical applications.
Exactly. Like it feeds into like a feminist epistemology, right? Where they say that like science is very phallocentric and its penetrating nature and her secrets, and feminine knowledge is much more like a valley, and it's much more like dark, and women understand fluid dynamics better, and that's why fluid dynamics is hard, is because we don't have
please don't get my sex joke boner going. You're saying
hold on, let me turn the fan on.
Okay.
Feminine knowledge is like a valley. Come on, that's what
you've used philosophy to give feral cat an erection. So
and me too.
No, we do not say those words on the stream.
What, bacon has an erection?
No, me too.
It's true. It's true. Like
no, we do say that. We just pronounce the hashtag
feminism. She describes some of it kind of in one of the opening chapters, and that's where I got that imagery, because where you can't, it sticks in your head, you can't lose it.
But yes, all right. Well, are we concluded with this? Federal. Okay, new article.
Yeah, I've already moved on.
Proceed with the reading.
Anyways,
begin the reading.
I am beginning the reading. If you would herd yourself.
Burn.
Okay. If I start interrupting you guys, I'm sorry. There seems to be some sort of weird lag where I hear you guys fine, but my words are coming like a good 5 seconds late for some reason. So,
are you listening to the stream instead of to the Hangout?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
So.
Sorry. I decided.
No, it's a relevant question. No, I'm definitely not.
Anyways,
so anyway, continue. Read an inning.
I am getting the reading. Federal judge rules adoption agency can't ban gays and lesbians. Federal, God, I've had beer already. A federal judge rejected a claim from Christian adoption and fostering services that their constitutional rights were violated by being forced to follow an anti-discrimination law. Catholic Social Services and Bethany Christian Services, two adoption and fostering agencies in Philadelphia, were caught earlier this year refusing to place children with same-sex parents. I actually covered this earlier in the year. Just as FYI, the city suspended their contracts until they agreed to comply with the city's non-discrimination ordinance. Bethany agreed to comply, but the Catholics obviously didn't, and they filed a lawsuit saying that they should get an exemption from the discrimination law. Anyone want to chime in anything?
This is really weird and slippery. Like, I'm not quite sure how to wrap my head around this one.
Anyway, some clergy sent a letter. Well, the Catholics admitted they were doing this, saying it does not certify same-sex couples, even if they're qualified under state law, and it refused to do home studies for gay people. They sent a clergy letter to someone. I don't know, who cares. It says, though, it's willing to work with single parents. The Christian agency says it's not a public accommodation, so it does not have to follow the city's anti-discrimination law, which is about public accommodations. The district church rejected the arguments. She ruled that the contract with the city to provide services in exchange for money makes it a public accommodation. Moreover, the contract itself includes a non-discrimination clause, which means that it violated both city law and its own contract. So yeah, technicalities.
I tend to agree. I don't have a huge issue with religious organizations that don't want to do business with us not doing it because of that. I mean, I think it's shitty, but you know, if it's part of their religion, unless they're actually hurting people or going out of their way, I get it. Don't like it, but I get it. However, when it is an awkward situation where if you're receiving any kind of federal monies, then there's a certain amount of compliance that you have to do. Well, that's government. Did I say federal? I just meant government.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're receiving public funds, then that means that you have a certain level of public accountability. I don't like to use that word too much, but I mean, in this case, it really does apply, I think, because yes, this is a religious organization, but I think it'd be one thing if they were acting in a completely autonomous fashion, where like if a church which is not receiving any public money doesn't want to do X with gay people, generally speaking, they're basically a private organization, a religious organization, so that's it is what it is. But when they're receiving money from the public and basically being contracted to do government work, at that point, I feel like, especially considering how hard it is to find people that are eligible and qualified to adopt children, for them to not adopt a child with a qualified parent just because of a religious objection, I think I'm going to say I don't like that. And I don't think it should be allowed if you're going to get public money.
I agree. And also, this is one of those reasons why I'm not a big fan of like local government contracting out, its services to other people who aren't, in some way, accountable to the public. Because I'm not Catholic, so essentially the Catholic Church has no reason to work with me anyways, even if I wasn't into the D. Because I'm not Catholic, I'm not a part of their institution, so therefore, why would they be accountable to me? I'm just some random person trying to adopt a kid, in this situation. But also, it's one of those issues I have, just I guess getting more political than we normally do. But I have an issue with basically one of the cities or counties. I don't know how fucked Pennsylvania's foster care system is. I just know that it is because they all are. That's just I know, hashtag not all, whatever. But it's like the city picks like, oh, it's can only be these two services and, just fucking live with it. I kind of don't see a point in even having it be private at that point if the city's choosing it, telling me to suck a dick. This mostly has to do with me just wanting to bitch about my local trash company because they can eat mucho dicks.
See, you're tainting the good and noble institution of fellatio with that, though. I think I'm going to make an executive call and say this is the Gaytriarchy. If you want to say that something is terrible, don't say that it sucks dick. Say that it eats muff.
Okay, it can sit on a cactus. Okay, how's that work for you?
Now you're kink shaming them. This is just getting incredibly problematic in here.
Well,
pull the stream. Just pull.
I'm the one controlling the stream, but I will pull the stream when I'm good and ready.
Mm-hmm. Pull your tampon, then. I don't know.
Anyways, anyways, it's one of those things where
blow your box up.
Anyways.
Oh God.
Anyways, these cunt munters, I don't see why they should contract out instead of just doing the service. If they're just gonna say, okay, it's only these two, and then that's it. Like I just that's why I don't really like when they contract out like public services like that.
Yeah, one thing that I'm trying to stay out of this one because of the whole public-private thing going on there, but yeah, it's personal life stuff. But big thing that I have here is, what is the nature of their agreement with the city? Why is there an agreement with them to begin with? I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of, because either way it goes down in that decision, whether or not they have to abide by it or whether or not they can take public funds, and not actually serve the public. Both of those are just really bad decisions either way. My question is, why are we in that predicament to begin with?
A lot of the times it's because the cities just don't want to have build the departments that would normally handle this kind of crap. So they're like, oh, well, we'll just kick money off to some other organization to do it for us that's already sort of doing it. It's fairly a normal practice when it comes to local government nonprofit, but I have an issue when they're getting public funding and they're being the agency. That's when I have an issue. Like, I don't care if private adoptions exist personally. It's just when they have money, when they're getting my money in my name is when I start having an issue with them.
Yeah. That seems fair.
particularly if you were like hypothetically, as say you were a gay citizen in this area, wherever this happened, your tax dollars, however small your individual contribution may be, is going there. It'd be kind of like if we contracted out our public schools to the local Catholic church, and then they denied access to that to the classroom to gay students because of religious reasons. It's like, okay, if you don't want to have gay students in your private school, that's fine, but this is a public school, even if for whatever weird reason you are running it. So yeah, I think that I think we've all agreed this is a weird situation that probably should have been avoided in the first place, but since it wasn't, it's wrong, and I think the court. This is not. I feel like some people are probably going to try to say this is like the gay wedding cake thing. In a way, this is kind of the opposite of the gay wedding cake, I think.
Like, well, the cake makers weren't taking tax dollars.
Yeah. Also, never mind. It's not just 2. They work with 30, and apparently they close a lot because reasons. I'm assuming the religious ones are the longest surviving of the private agencies. Just gonna start that out there.
Well, since a lot, religious organizations used to run the orphanages and all that, but then the government took over. That'd be an interesting topic. I should research it sometime. Like it has the lot of orphans and children improved since religious orphanages were outlawed, because I don't know the answer to that. But let's move on. What's the next subject?
The next subject is that Stockholm Syndrome having bitch from Pennsylvania. This guy who I would bend over in a Motel 8 but wouldn't pay the bill for.
Yeah, he's all right.
For the motel or for the guy?
I would pay for neither.
I mean, he's not the most hideous person I've ever seen, but
he's a self-described feminist lawyer who is a Democratic state house representative in Pennsylvania, who, according to Feral Cat, said the DNC doesn't even have to follow its own internal regulations.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, personally, as far as the bangability scale would, but I understand now why they make ball gags. What's it go in your mouth?
Yeah, he's definitely. This should be if this was my podcast, I would totally have like a segment where I say, okay, so what porn service are we nominating you for? Like David Hogg, we remember a while ago we nominated him for Gag the Fag. So are we nominating this guy for Gag the Fag, or are we sending him to Kink House or Treasure Island Media, like to be punished? Like, what are we doing to this one?
God, I did not study porn well enough to even. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna gag everyone because it's just like we only talk about them if they're like saying stupid shit, right?
True. Maybe that should just be. Well, no. Sometimes Gag the Fag is just when you're saying stupid shit. But then but then there's people that really piss you off, not just for what they do, not so much what they say. And maybe those people are the kind that need to be going to Kink House and be tied up by an Asian dominant who puts a lot of clamps on your nipples.
Speaking of, while we're on the topic, y'all, notice we got 17 viewers, we got 7 likes. Y'all take that like button and smack it like you woke up with it.
Yeah, like Kink House, like you need to beat that like button up. Just beat it up. Be merciless. Because it wants you.
The stream just got a little
the like button likes it.
It does like it. Just click it. Click it. Oh yeah, click it again. Oh yeah.
Murder.
Okay, now that went dark. So, well, not dark, but
I hate his beard.
Yeah, you know what? He would totally. I'll say this about him: he would be totally a lot. Well, not totally, but he would be better. He would just get the neck beard part gone, like just shave off the neck part a little bit, and like just do a goatee. You look much better.
Oh my god, I want to have only a neck beard. It's my idea. I have to have it.
Just so y'all know, though, I mean, remember his past. I mean, he will call your grandmother if he doesn't like what you have to say.
That's true. Well, he'd have to use a Ouija board to call my grandmother. So
it don't matter. He'll go over he'll end up flying to New Orleans and getting that voodoo lady to throw out some chicken bones and bust open a gourd, and he'll have a talk with her.
Oh, you know what? That would be it would be totally an awesome movie. Like, you know, like some guy that, like, you know, that conjures the spirits of the dead relatives of their exes just to out them. Like, and then the person gets haunted by their homophobic dead relatives. Oh my god.
Also, there's a couple of things I want to pull out from here that this Stockholm syndrome having bitch has said. He says that when he grew up, he would, without blinking, reply he wanted to be a feminist lawyer when he grew up. But he also says this next quote that I find, this is also the next bit that I find interesting because his parents were in the army. And he says, my parents reminded us that when we were kids, that the army judges you based on your performance, not your identity. It's like, then why the fuck are you a feminist? Like, that's just hypocrisy incarnate.
Well, no one said he couldn't be a hypocrite.
Well, I'm saying he can't be a hypocrite because I am one.
There's being a hypocrite. There's being a casual hypocrite, and then there's being a professional hypocrite.
Well, this guy's professional since he's gotten elected to public office. It's more than I can say.
Yeah, no, that's more than professional. He's gotten a PhD in hypocrisy.
Politics is the world's second oldest profession, and it is so closely related to the first.
Right?
Although the oldest profession is just much more honest, really.
Absolutely. And like, God, what pisses me off the most, and it's like such a common trope, is when he says, the same mind that thinks gay is wrong is a mind that already thinks that women are lesser, that femininity is weak. And so what I see is most homophobia is really anger at a person because their sexuality veers from what somebody else thinks it should be. Now, the second half of that statement actually has nothing to do with the first, but it's this fucking, it's so basic bitch, this idea that, oh, well, all homophobia is just misogyny repackaged. And it's like, no, nobody treats nobody treats the little boy acting feminine bad, like all those same feminine characteristics. They don't treat girls badly for doing those things. Girls are entitled to doing those things. And it's like so obvious if you just think about it, you know?
Where I'm from, and keep in mind, we've got this whole what do you call it, stereotype of being backward and all that stuff, but girls that are tomboys are probably the most highly sought after here because they're a lot more fun to be around.
Well, because they know how to fix the car when it breaks down, and also,
you want to go mudding? They're like, here, let me grab my beer. You know, I mean,
there's no stigma. I've never believed that there was a stigma against tomboys. Like, I 0% believe in that. Yeah,
I grew up with way too many of them. Hell, helped raise a couple of them. There is no stigma against them except from other girls.
Yeah, that was a thing that I was getting into in one of my videos last week, where it was talking about, it was an Atlantic magazine basically saying boys need to have a more feminine, childhood. And it's like, okay, they're like, oh, but the men have all the privilege and everything and this and that. And it's like, okay, you just blatantly ignores the fact that the Girl Scouts aren't being asked to accept boys, and the fact that, girls get to gender bend without any repercussions. It's like, yeah, fucking ignore that female privilege and address it and fucking ignore it. But then
don't you know, privilege is invisible to the people that have it. I mean, they'll tell you that themselves. Oh, the irony of ironies.
Yeah.
See, and that's why I come down so hard on feminism, because that's their entire overarching thing. They could have had a gender equality movement that said, hey, let's have women's issues, let's have men's issues. But no, from the suffragettes forward, it was always like, men are oppressing us and we're oppressed and we have it worse and we need special rights. And then they never changed the narrative. Second waivers didn't change it, third waivers didn't change it, and nobody wants to change it now. So that's why I, shit on all of feminism, particularly because they're explicitly asking people to do that which they refuse to do.
Well, that's the thing that people don't understand. People who don't think about the sort of thing about feminism is like, people say that feminism is being inconsistent. No, it's being incredibly consistent, except it's just being disingenuous. Feminism,
consistency of running dog shit, perhaps. Oh, sorry, was that out loud?
No, they're being incredibly consistent. They're just being disingenuous about what their actual goal is. Their actual goal is female supremacy, gynocracy, and in that sense, they're very consistent. They're just saying that it's a switcheroo. They're saying that their goal is equality and parity. However, they basically have that at this point in every meaningful and important way. So now, in order to continue their actual goal, which is supremacy, they invent new problems so that they can basically tip the scale. They're saying they're equalizing the scale, but they've already equalized the scale. So now they're actually like inventing new problems just so they can keep adding more weight to their side. And
But
it's
it's
become
worse than
incredibly
that.
sad.
It's slightly worse than that, because if you look at suffrage, that was female supremacy. Like, it was supremacist from the beginning, and then they've never, given women the same obligations of men. So really, women have always they've always been supreme. They've never been equal in that they've never been brought down to men's level. I would argue ever. I would argue that you could pick any culture, any society. You could make a case that women have it better. Even like in Sharia law, it's like, okay, like the men are forced into their roles too, and it's very dangerous over there for them as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. For example, you'll have a kid that is a kid, and I do mean a kid. We're talking 6, 7 years old, something like that, that is obligated under law to provide for his family. Like his mother, his sisters, his younger brothers, and those kids have to usually go out in the streets and make the money any way they can. I mean, that's one thing about Sharia law that is extremely harmful to men that we just do not hear about.
Yeah, the biggest thing when it comes to any kind of Arab Islamic issues, like I feel like it's not a question of gender imbalances. Like, I mean, yes, on the in many ways, Islamic society is just overtly horrible to women. However, I will take it a step further. I think that Islam is a guidepost for making an objectively awful society for everyone. There are no winners in Islam except for the people at the very top. So the imams and those that are lucky enough to be royalty or incredibly wealthy.
Well, in any society, if you have enough money, or enough influence or prestige, you're basically untouchable, anyways.
Yeah,
They're just trying. It's like, in a way, it's, I guess, similar to any other totalitarian ideology, where it's like, okay, yeah, the rich and the prestigious still have everything taken care of for them, and then we're just going to maximize the suffering for everyone else.
Yeah. There is. Are we done with this particular subject? Or do we want? Okay, I have one. I don't have an article for it, but I want to discuss it just in general.
Sure.
So, how many are you guys familiar with the new She-Ra series that has come out?
I've just seen a couple of pictures of it.
Yes. So a lot of people
have been everywhere, but I had never looked into it.
Yeah. So a lot of people have been talking about She-Ra. The Quartering talked about it. Monday Mad. A bunch of people, all the nerd channels have been buzzing about She-Ra right now, and it was interesting for me because I remember I watched She-Ra growing up a little bit because I was in Puerto Rico and there just really wasn't a whole lot of programming. So I enjoyed it, but half the time I couldn't understand it because it was often in Spanish. So I actually, out of curiosity, I found out it was on Netflix, so I started watching the original She-Ra again, and it's just amazing. I mean, not the show. The show is it's nostalgic. It's better than I kind of thought it would be. But what is amazing is how completely wrong all of the commentary about the original She-Ra and the remake have been. In that the people that are advocating that anyone who's upset about the way the new She-Ra looks and all the things that they've changed is because they can't, in the word of some stupid feminine thought, I can't remember who, like, you're just angry that you can't masturbate to She-Ra anymore. And I've seen about 10 episodes of She-Ra now, so not just my vague memories, so I can say with a little bit of authority, what the hell are you smoking? I don't know if you guys remember, but She-Ra, yes, she's wearing a skirt and she has breasts, but she's hardly a cheesecake.
Now, have you seen that episode of South Park where they did their version of Heavy Metal? Where all the
yes.
everything had boobs, major
Literally
boobs. I think was the episode.
Even the city Nepopolis.
That She-Ra was definitely not. But
No.
what it did have is stuff that you're not going to see in a lot of cartoons these days, and it's the same thing with Thundercats, and that was an issue, just a couple of months ago, and that's that they've basically taken out almost any type of gender, what's it called? I almost said dysphoria, but that's not dimorphism. Dimorphism.
Yeah.
Basically any kind of secondary sexual characteristics, like body builds or anything like that. They've taken out serious adult storyline, or more mature storylines for kids, and that's what the appeal was for a lot of those older cartoons. Now it's just really shallow.
It's all like the property exists just as like a springboard for the Cal Art style and a bunch of like really meta jokes or fart jokes or just really shallow topical humor that is incredibly sanitized and not really about anything. But also this idea that like when I watched She-Ra again, I was kind of interested because I had watched this other YouTube channel. I can never remember which channel I'm watching, but they talk about how the original She-Ra fit into the role of the iconic feminine, in that like you see these old cartoons like He-Man and She-Ra and Thundercats, and they have something. The reason that they're so nostalgic to us isn't just because there weren't so many cartoons back then, which admittedly that was an issue also, but they endured because they had something. They had kind of an iconic mythological quality to them. Yeah, they had depth. And so like She-Ra, the original She-Ra, yes, she's highly, I won't say exaggerated, but I mean, she's so like in the new She-Ra, she is incredibly, she's incredibly androgynous, and she looks like a boy, and she's not even a princess anymore. She is an orphan. And I was thinking about this, and I'm like, well, okay, so basically they took away She-Ra's femininity. And by the way, the original She-Ra is really not that exaggerated. I mean, like, she has some boobs and she's wearing a skirt, except everyone in those cartoons, He-Man and She-Ra, looks like they are, I mean, they're all wearing Speedos. Like, the men are way more fleshy than the girls in that universe. Like, I mean, like,
I was going to say
every
He-Man's
single
tits
character,
are
even the
bigger.
peasants, they're all wearing. They really are. I mean, She-Ra was not very sexually. She was marketed towards girls. Yeah, but it was like
Well, it
She-Ra
reminds me
was
of,
like, other than the fact you can see that she.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you guys,
What?
there's a classic meme out there. You guys have probably all seen it by now, where it has like He-Man and then Barbie, right? And on the left side, it's like, this is Barbie. For decades, she has been the center of a discussion regarding gender stereotypes and the unrealistic expectations. Blah, blah, blah. It's just a super duper long fucking like thing about how Barbie is problematic. And then on the Reddit, it just says in big text, "This is He-Man." And it's kind of like some of that is playing out again too, with this selective outrage.
It really is. It really is. But
do you know the meme I'm talking about? I'll find it for you.
I have seen it. I would love to see it again, real quick, because I know I'm talking too much about She-Ra. But I mean, the problem when they take away all of her power, basically, when you take away her femininity, you're making her really difficult for young people to relate to, because she's a representation, she's a symbol. And the same thing with the princess. The fact that she's a princess is not because she's dainty. I mean, for God's sake, she's basically, I was having an argument with my husband about whether or not she was as strong as Wonder Woman. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think she's quite as overpowered as He-Man, because I've only seen 10 episodes, but I mean, yeah, she was definitely a softer representation of the hero than He-Man, if nothing else, because she was aimed at girls. But yes, she's in the Wonder Woman superhuman category, so she's not a dainty little thing at all, and never treated that way or suggested that she is. But the reason that she's a princess is the same reason that superheroes are usually either princes or knights in these classic things, because in order for them to be the hero, they have to be special. They have to be endowed with something. And the idea that people can be special, that they can be beautiful, that they can be powerful, that they can be unique, I feel like that is a big reason why this lesbian far left woman who is authoring the who's the new She-Ra thing, the biggest thing that did it, even the boyishness, I could maybe understand, but the fact that she made her an orphan is like, wow, you really are just robbing the character of any power. You're just trying to make her an ordinary person who the only thing that makes her special is what? The sword, which is very leftist, which is that then anyone could be She-Ra, basically. Boy or girl, young or old, princess or regular. And I think that is not going to resonate. This is not going to, it's going to alienate all the original fans, and it's not going to communicate with the new generation nearly as effectively as they think it will.
Well,
that was my She-Ra rant.
There's really nothing for the viewers to connect to when you strip away so many essential characteristics. The more generalized something it is, the less appeal it has. We like things that remind us in ways of us. Everyone does. When they start stripping those things away, it becomes something you can't relate to.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, by taking away anything that makes someone special, you're losing the ability to aspire to something. The fact that you can't attain, the fact that something is unattainable and beyond normal reach, that's fine. That's the point. Like, why do people want to have magical powers? You can't have magic ever. Like, Harry Potter has something that you cannot have, and it does not keep people from identifying with him. It just makes him interesting. I love that. I really, really, really love that meme. And He-Man is a great example too. I'm waiting for them just to make this a little bit more gaytriarchal. Like, so on the opposite end, I'm waiting for them to do He-Man and like do him as some sort of really wimpy, funny, doofusy dude who could be trans or something like that. And it would similarly be flat because He-Man is so incredibly exaggerated in much more than She-Ra is. I mean, he's literally like just, if I know that you, Farrell, probably want to look like that, but I wouldn't know what to do with anyone who had that much muscle, honestly. It's
I have some ideas.
Deformed in my mind. But
all I gotta say about He-Man is I would take that. Hey, all I gotta say is that I would take that with a side of Astro Blood.
That you would. I don't know.
Aren't as strong.
Well, I'll just say that whatever it is that's going on in my twisted little head, it's probably going to begin with oil wrestling, but that's beside the point.
Isn't that kind of the point, though? It is.
I
the
would be afraid.
Stream. I mean, we always end up
and
there.
When I say oil wrestling, I mean like 10W40 or something, you know.
Mm-hmm. You know, there is one problem though when people talk about having sex with superheroes like Superman or He-Man or something like that, though. So they have super strength all over. So what would happen, for instance, if they clenched? Like your penis would basically be jelly.
Kegels from hell.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's
a meme.
Point. I never thought of that before.
Actually, I'm thinking of other uses. I mean, hey, where's the beer bottle opener? Oh wait, never mind. It's like perfect.
And now it's officially the Gaytriarchy because we've involved anal sex.
You know, I actually I knew some people who went and saw like a proper like a show down in like Southeast Asia, like the ping pong kind of shows, right? And they had all kinds of crazy stories about like they were like holding like bottle openers and like breaking open beers and shit and like fucking writing their names and writing like Happy New Year and like perfect cursive and shit. Just like I'm like shit. Like I don't even care about vaginas, but like I'd see that. That sounds cool. Like I don't know.
I'm thinking Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Puppetry of the penis, if nothing else, for the shirt. Did you guys ever hear puppetry of the penis?
Yeah,
no, actually. I want to.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Also, penis origami.
Ow.
Paper cutting and onion.
Yeah, puppetry. Anyone who hasn't seen, I haven't seen it. I've seen a bit of it, but anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Google search puppetry of the penis, as in puppets. It is it's really strange. It's
not while we're alive.
Interesting in a grotesque kind of sort of way. No. We are not showing that.
I will be the brave canary going into the coal mine since my screen isn't shared. One sec.
Go heads first.
Yeah, just don't screen share it because we do not want to get our channel deleted. So like maybe while Farrell is bravely looking at that. Yeah, he will beat all of us, and we will all die horribly.
Hey,
I don't
can
want to
look
be
at-
responsible
Oh
for
my
being
god,
the
what
person.
tomfuckery is this?
Oh, I can actually look this up too because only one of my.
Now, would you
screens is
care to
screen shared.
Okay, so just be very careful, Bacon. But Farrell, why don't you describe to us what you're seeing,
No.
just so the audience
No.
can enjoy it?
No. No, I would
Yeah,
recommend
anyway,
they look this
so, yeah.
up though for themselves, just not on a work computer.
So I actually
is-
I'm gonna be bouncing now, but not to look at porn. I get the timing is
Sure.
incriminating, but
Mhm.
you know what? Fine, just to look at porn. I'm gonna go
totally believe
fap.
you.
I gotta leave and go fap. But you guys have a good
Yeah.
good rest of the stream.
You-
It was fun to
admit
see
it.
good familiar
Admit it,
faces.
it's not
in our
even-
chat to say hi.
It's not. It's not even porn, is it? You're just gonna watch old Eurovision footage.
Fap
Same
to
thing.
that.
I thought we were against kink shaming, first of all.
No, I'm not. I never agreed to this.
I'm against shaming my kinks. There's a difference.
That's very feminist of you, Farrell.
No, Eurovision is
Cute.
not a kink. Eurovision is not a kink. It is a mental disorder.
You know, just because me and Linda Martin can have a fabulous time, and me and Linda Martin can have a fabulous time. So there. Also, I do want to say though,
There
this
you
next year you
are.
guys are going to do with the gay
Well, I
Trump
hope-
supporter calling the police on that black woman. That video is fucking hysterically funny. I think the guy has like some kind of palsy or something though, so I just want to throw that out there before you laugh too hard at him. But like, I don't know. Do you guys think it's staged? I'm kind of not sure, but oh no, I think
I don't know what
actually
you're
like real
talking about.
police were called and things, so maybe it was real. You never know these days though.
All I'm going to say is CBS can get fucked. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, they don't
Oh,
even
that guy was.
cigarettes anymore. What a bunch
Yeah,
of
that-
pussies. Like you're a pharmacy. That's the
That guy
whole
was
fucking point.
a-
Sell the cigarettes and the shit that for the sick people. Like we all knew that was your thing and it was funny. Anyway.
That guy. Yeah, that was a gay. That was a gay guy, like who happened to be a Trump supporter, and I think that is totally why they came down on him so hard, because that doesn't fit any of the convenient blocks. Oh, and all right, Space Pen is gone. Yeah, CVS really did not provide any support to this guy because it does not seem to me like it's a racist thing. I'm just going to go out on an edge here and say, like, if you have an interaction with an angry black woman, it seems like the likelihood that race will be injected into the situation, whether it has anything to do with it or not, is near 100% if she's angry enough. Am I stereotyping? Sure. Can you do anything about it?
Yeah, but
No.
when anyone's pissed off, and I mean, this is a human thing, they're going to go for the fucking jugular. I do it, you do it, we all do it.
Mhm.
That's just one avenue that they can
Yeah,
use.
It's always lowest common
Yes,
denominator.
I'm just saying that I'm just saying that in this current climate, it seems like between Black Lives Matter and Me Too, black women have gained a superpower when it comes to just, throwing their outrage grenades, and everyone just ducks for cover, because the Black Lives Matter activist crowd, and not even just Black Lives Matter, but just like, this whole outrage activist circle, there is no logic. There is no reason to it. I mean, like, when this latest gun controversy about they shot an unarmed black man, except he was armed. They said there was a gun, and like they said there was a gun, and they still rioted. They still looted, because it's about the rage. It's not about anything.
Well,
I'd say it's logical. It's just not what you're thinking of for logic. The rush is what it's about.
It's logical, but it's not logical on a mass scale. It's individually logical. Like, I have an interest in ruining something and grabbing up as much political power as I can, or resources or fame or whatever, until my 15 minutes is up and I go crashing into the floor while I'm hanging from the rafters.
So let's say this, like, it's maybe logical wasn't the best word. It's incredibly disingenuous.
Well, it is a shit show.
Yeah.
Oh, that indeed.
Yeah, the shittiest of the shit.
Hey, are you saying that just because they're black?
Oh yeah, that's totally what I'm saying. But
You've just microaggressed this poor woman over the internet.
I know, it's terrible. You've exposed me as the founder of the alt gay. We're a sect of radical gay white supremacists.
I thought that was Spaceman.
I'm enjoying it.
I know. I just took a shot at poor Spaceman. He's not here. Sorry, Spaceman.
So dishonorable.
I know.
Cheap shot and now drink a shot. Well, no, I know you probably already drank like 3 or 4
that ranks
of
up there
them.
with a sucker punch.
Yeah, that 5 minutes I was gone, that was me getting beer and chicken. So yeah, I've already had a shot.
Just cut out the middleman. Like put the beer and the chicken in a blender and puree.
That sounds disgusting, but probably
beer can chicken. Oh, hey, they already have beer can chicken.
I know.
It's actually really good.
It is really good. My dad would make it. Anyways, anything more we want to say on this before we move on to just general chatting?
Well, I was talking about the beer can chicken. What kind of pervert thought that up? You know,
you know who I'm going to say, Farrell? Like, you may take this as a microaggression. I'm going to say I imagine someone from your neck of the woods thinking.
I was thinking like probably my ex or something, to be honest.
It's not so much the idea that people are doing it. It's when it became a fancy Napa thing.
No, you know what it's like.
It became strange.
Yeah.
Well, then it shouldn't be. Well, if what you say is true, then it's not really a beer can. Wouldn't it be like a 2-liter chicken at that point? Then
2-liter chicken. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're making me blush now. Quit that shit.
We're getting all kinds of physiological responses tonight.
Hey, no getting sexual on the
very expressive.
My poor ears are not going to be able to handle this.
Oh, please. Your virgin ears are about all that's left.
Yeah, my virgin ears were actually
all your ears. Yeah. If you're in the Gaytriarchy, your ears have chlamydia. Like, you know, it's that train has set.
They got
it's gone off into the ocean. Like, and yeah,
my mom.
That train crashed into.
My mom already gave my.
That train crashed into the ocean, and James Cameron already made a movie about it.
Oh god, I just had an orgasm.
Oh my god.
Yeah, trust me, my mom's already ruined me. My mom.
You engaged in oral sex.
My mom's a My mom's a horrible influence. She's already polluted my mind.
I'm the worst one.
You'll think I'm bad though. My mother is about 10 times the pervert that I am. She can find something dirty, just absolutely filthy in anything. I love her.
Oh yeah, we have to have. So, you remember we totally have to have Mother of Barbarians on here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Would be or on my channel, your channel. Like I would love to live stream with Mother of Barbarians.
Well, I'm supposed to see her probably this weekend, unless I get some kind of weird on-call bullshit going on. But so I'm looking forward to it.
I already went through the trouble
to keep the chainsaw put away.
I already went through the trouble of making her an avatar. You might as well use it.
Which she loves, might I add. She's like, oh my god, you told him the chainsaw story. She should use that as the wallpaper on her phone. This just sounds like a really neat lady. Well, right now she permanently has Nickelback on there that got on there for some reason that she doesn't know how to remove. Probably because her kid's an asshole.
Oh, is that you?
Does she know that Nickelback? Does she know that Nickelback is the most despised thing on the internet besides?
What do you think?
Is there anything on the internet more despised than?
Is there anything more despised?
Does she even know what Nickelback is?
Oh yeah, she despises them.
Oh, is there anything more despised than Nickelback? Yeah, Riley Dennis. That's an easy one. Everyone's stuck with
I don't despise Riley. I just see no, what do you call it? No kind of kinship or common ground or anything like that.
I think people love to hate Riley Dennis in a way that's very different than Nickelback. I mean, Nickelback is one of those things that it's fun. You know, I probably lose subs for this, but you know, I actually have heard Nickelback songs that I liked and I still don't dislike. I know that they're kind of like really oversaturated, kind of not very nice band in real life. And it's not like I listened to Nickelback, but I've always thought the Nickelback meme was a little like out of all the bands, I guess it has more to do with their persona. Like, I don't really understand why Nickelback is just like the end all. Like, are they still that bad? I mean, like, they seem to have kind of disappeared, or am I just not looking in the right places?
I didn't even know.
Okay,
Nickelback was
first off, Cats, we all know that you've got every single issue of Tiger Beat that the Nickelback, band was in. So don't lie, we know.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. My musicology. I don't know if I ever told you the music that I actually listen to. But,
I figure we'll listen to about the same stuff. Do you do a lot of glitch metal stuff like that?
Glitch Mob, you said?
Oh, I love Glitch Mob.
No, I have heavy metal is one of those things that I think the closest I ever really got to heavy metal was Apocalyptica, which is really not heavy metal.
I love Apocalyptica. I actually got to see them play in Little Rock last time they went through. It was awesome.
Get off of the Gaytriarchy.
No.
I hate you.
Yes.
I'm renouncing your Gaytriarchhood.
No, get this. I didn't even know they were in town. My younger brother shows up at my house. He's like, "Get in the car, asshole. We're going down to Juanita's." I'm like, "Oh, someone playing?" And he was like, "Yeah, Apocalyptica. You ever heard of them?" I'm like, "You motherfucker. Let me get my coat."
Did he know how much you loved them?
He didn't realize.
He know how much
Keep in mind, we only see each other once every few months. We don't like call every other day or anything like that at all. It's not that we hate each other. It's just if we know if we're around each other all the time, we won't have any stories to tell. So,
Yeah, you have the opposite relationship. Bacon, you might have the similar thing that I have, because I have Hispanic family syndrome, which is where if I go for more than a week without talking to my sister or my mother, I'll get like 8 or 9 or 3 calls saying, like, "Are you dead?" Like, my mother's still, I'm 35 years old, and my mom calls me every day.
Yeah, my mom.
I don't always answer, but she calls me every day.
Okay, to put
and my
things in
sister will usually
perspective,
call me within 15 minutes.
When I call the mother of barbarians, if I think, hey, something just didn't seem right, I'm going to check in and everything. First words out of her mouth isn't, "Hey, how's it going, baby?" or anything like that. It's, "Okay, what's wrong?" I'm like, "Everything's fine. I'm just checking to make sure y'all are all right,
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, my mother and I have been having the same conversation every day since I was about 12. "How's it going? Nothing new at this end. Just checking in, making sure you're okay. Are you sleeping? Are you eating well?"
Oh,
No.
Usually ours are something like her telling me, "So you ain't gonna believe about this crazy bitch at work." I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna be good."
Yeah, that's kind of how my mom does. Usually her boss, though.
My mom is like pathologically nice. Like, my mom, she will go into the airport and run into people that she met like 10 years ago and somehow remember them and like strike up a conversation with them as if they have been a close friend for years. Like, she's it's scary, honestly, how well liked my mom is and how nice she is. Like, sometimes the only time my mom isn't nice is when she drinks, which is why she never drinks, because my mom is scary when she drinks. Like, one time, I'll tell you guys this really awful story. So one time, my husband, he and I go back and forth on vegetarianism. Like, we don't like killing animals to eat them, even though they are delicious. But, we don't like things to suffer. So our rule right now is we don't eat mammals. We stick to birds and fish because we figure, a chicken is dumb enough to where if you cut the head off of a chicken next to another chicken, it doesn't react. So I shouldn't feel too bad about that, probably. But anyway, that's our little cop out. I know it's completely hypocritical, but it makes us feel good. So anyway, but
we all have something we're hypocritical about. If you ain't hypocritical about something, you just ain't fucking trying.
Yeah. But Cats, think of the vegans. The vegans are gonna be mad.
But
That chicken suffered.
The
It
vegans
wanted to
are
live.
mad.
You know,
It doesn't-
y'all want to know some funny shit?
they're- well,
Back when I was 16, I ended up getting that key Lyme disease. You know, Lyme's disease. And I actually have not been able to eat meat since then. There's some people that have a reaction where you can become allergic to it. And I was one of those people. So it's real funny because I'll be getting stuff and everybody's
really?
like, oh shit, it's the vegan. You know, I'm like, I'm not a vegan, first off. And secondly, fuck you. You know?
That must be hard being in the South and not being able to eat meat.
Are you kidding? You seen the way I
Is that,
cook?
like, no, I'm
It's
just saying,
not
like,
really-
no, I don't mean that. I mean being around people, because, like, what is this in Texas? If you tell people you're a vegetarian, they say, "Oh, so you just eat chicken?"
I make lamb.
Like, that's what my friend from.
Well, the thing is, people
but
are
anyway,
usually just fine about it if you don't make a big fucking deal out of it. God.
Well, that is the no. I didn't mean that people are closed-minded, because the reason vegans suffer so much is because they're so sanctimonious and annoying.
Oh no!
I just meant, like, it's unless that. I know. I just mean unless
get
the
on their
South has
high
changed
horse,
a lot from what I stereotypically imagine.
I'm sorry, they can't.
When they get on their high
people
horse,
a
I'm
lot.
like, I'm about to go. I don't know. Make me some veal myself with my own fucking hands. If y'all don't shut the fuck up, I can't stand that sanctimonious shit. Go ahead.
I just gotta ask, how do they get on their high horse if they don't eat any protein? Really? Yeah, how are they not just too weak where they just get up, oh my god, I'm now winded, and then just fall off the other side?
Soy protein.
Soy.
Well, not to mention, if they're like a hardcore, like, PETA style vegan, they would never get on the horse, because that's, they don't even believe in having pets, because that's animal enslavement.
Yeah, I can't help but
yeah.
remember PETA liberating all those pets, and I use the word liberating
I
with white
know,
people
and
air
then they just-
quotes. I'm like, no, you
'cause
people are
'cause they
disgusting.
euthanized all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they kill all the animals they save. But we've really strayed off the Gaytriarchal path.
Anyways,
we're
makes
the
sense,
embodiment of
though.
it.
Anyways, we should maybe
We
shill
are.
our pink dollars, since we're both here, the creators, the birthers of the pink dollars.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
You wanna
like,
shill a little
we
bit?
are the parents of our. Mhm. Sure. So, since there's no one to stop us, any of you who haven't seen already yet, Saint Bacon and I had a really good collaboration, in my opinion, and we've made a multi-part documentary called Pink Dollars at Work. The first episode was released on our channels a week ago. I was really hoping, last week. I was really hoping to have the new episode ready at the same time, and, well, anyone who knows me knows that I edit slowly on the best of days, because I'm a perfectionist and I work 2 jobs right now. So those are my YouTube excuses. Like, the second part, it's almost ready. Like, but I say almost in the same way. Bacon has heard me say it's almost ready so many times, I'm sure it's lost all meaning.
Yes.
It will hopefully be. Yes.
I was going to say, guys, if y'all want to offload some of the editing stuff, I mean, I'm in a slump as far as my videos go. I don't know when I'm going to be making any new ones. But if y'all want to send some of the editing work over to me, shoot, I can help out. Just saying it's out there.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Our production staff has just increased. And Feral Cat, by the way, recorded an excellent segment, which is going to be featured in it, too.
Oh, my God, that rant.
So... Oh, by the way, you don't think that I've forgotten about how we are supposed to be doing. We said we were going to do a collab several months ago. Do you remember, Farrell?
Well, I thought that was kind of like, when you see an old friend from high school. Oh, hey, we should hang out soon.
Mm-hmm. No, that was more like okay, when are we doing this shit?
Well,
the
because of the way our fiscal year ends up falling, July is typically my busiest part of the year. That's actually when all the big stuff starts. Typically, after things get around, I'd say probably mid-September. Ironically, when Farrell is going to be turning 41, which means bloody ancient in gay years. that'll be a good time for me to really get back into doing some stuff. It's just right now it's one crazy impossible thing after another.
I feel your pain. Well, the thing that Farrell and I are going to be working on, and we wanted to make the definitive GGTOW, gays going their own way film, where we just delve into it, because there's been a lot of pot shots, or not pot shots, but all of us have made some Gaytriarch or GGTOW content, bits and pieces, but there's not really like a single piece that you can point to. But yeah, we're going to do that. And Pink Dollars at Work, our film where we look at the LGBT organizations and what do they actually spend their money on. That second part will be coming out soon, I promise. Yeah, let's put it this way. Even at my worst, I'm still better than my lady Aiden Paladin, as far as putting out a video, because she puts out a video maybe once every like 3 to 6 weeks. Now, granted, I'm not comparing myself to her because her videos are 40 minutes long and have like actual like research in them. But still,
wait, who's this?
I promise to be Aiden Paladin. You've seen Aiden Paladin.
Oh yes,
Haven't you?
I believe so.
Yeah, she's like she's still one of my favorite YouTubers ever, just because I learn something every time I watch one of her videos, and not in the whole like, oh, that's interesting. That's more like, oh, wow, that was really interesting and deep. And even if she's not 100%, I don't agree with everything she says, it's still just really interesting to learn all these things that I won't even say believe that she talks about, because I mean, like, it's not really. Anyway, I'm shilling for her channel now, apparently. But
I don't think you
I just
need
like
to.
that it's a. Yeah, totally. Like, how many does she have? Like the 60,000 subscribers now. Why don't we have 60,000 subscribers? Because
Why don't I have
We are
600
selective.
subscribers?
You know why we don't have 60,000? Because we talk about what would happen if you tried to fuck He-Man and he clenched. Like that's why we don't have 60,000.
That's why we
subscribers.
should have 60,000.
Mm-hmm. What was it? Our illustrious guest last week, Benjamin Boyce, said like at one point, "This is the
so
gayest
awesome.
thing I've ever been on."
Mhm.
Oh, I love him. He's so cute and so smart.
He is.
Yes, I have to say though, I kind of love that, like, out of the big wide internet world that he's in, like, that we managed to be the gayest thing. Like, we are like gay concentrate. Like, if we get wet, we make gaynade. I'm just gonna let it sit on that.
I thought getting
one for a
wet was
minute.
how we reproduce, kind of like gremlins.
I just heard telling me you getting me wet. Wait, what? I don't have.
And if we have
that.
carbs after midnight,
Yeah, that would actually that would solve a lot of problems for gay men if we were able to reproduce, like, I don't know, by laying eggs, or if we just like got wet and then we were able to break off into smaller pieces. I actually pictured us. You guys know I do science fiction stories, and one of my stories that I thought about
Wouldn't
was
that make
like
us asexual?
if some. Yeah, well, depending if we were able to. I mean, depending if we were producing it exclusively from our own genetic material, or if there was another contribution required. If you had to be fertilized, then we would not be. We would be. I don't know. How would you classify that? We wouldn't be dimorphic. We would be. Oh god, what do you call it when it's just one? Because dimorphic is two. Monomorphic?
I don't know. Unisex? I don't know. Maybe.
Asexual. Keep in mind, a sex itself only exists in contrast to another one. It's a differentia, which is where the word comes from. So it would be asexual if there is no sex within the species. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, like those foam dinosaurs that start out as pills and grow, Heaven Collie has got it figured out, yo.
So you're saying if gay men were able to reproduce with each other, even if there was fertilization from another gay man, it would still be asexual?
That's a good damn question. There's a certain species, I can't think of, it's some kind of worm, if I'm not mistaken, that has these two horns, and strictly speaking, both of them are males, but the one that gets impaled actually ends up burying the young, if you will, laying the eggs, and I cannot for the life of me think of it.
Yeah, they're a lower order of organism because I think with most worms, if you cut them in half, they just become two worms, isn't it?
Well, no, with some of them, like
Whereas
flatworms, that's the case.
Yeah, that definitely does not happen to people.
No,
But yeah,
research has proven. Oh, never mind. I shouldn't mention that. Also, humans can live underwater, just not very long.
I pictured a story where I imagine what it'd be like if like a gay guy was able to clone himself, kind of like Battlestar Galactica. I pictured like, well, what if they made a model based on myself? Like, what would that be like if there were all these our cats just running around? It was an interesting thought experiment. Like, but I'm thinking that's more like self-cloning.
Well, the first thing that would happen if a gay guy could clone himself is he would fuck himself. Just gonna throw that out there.
I got a feeling if I clone
at that point, that would just.
I got a feeling that if I clone me, we would be at war with each other almost immediately.
That's so. You realize that's one of the most profoundly Freudian things you've ever said.
Thank you.
That speaks volumes of your psyche.
Oh no!
Oh,
I mean, I would actually see that. I would actually see clone me as a threat.
I don't know.
I imagine if
before we get all cerebral or whatever, I would assume clone me and me would be too agreeable, and we would try to plot and conquer the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why me and clone me can't be friends, because we would.
Yeah, I can be a very codependent. I'm a literally. If there were several of me, I mean, I'm already fairly codependent as it is, so I can only imagine, like, I don't know, like not the Borg exactly, but we'd just be around each other all the time. I don't know if we'd ever be able to separate at all, even if we wanted to.
You'd be the Borg, but without the technology.
Yeah, we'd be the Gorg.
We are cats. We will something you.
Well, strictly speaking, I guess it'd be like having an identical twin.
It would be.
Oh, well, already handled clone
only
me, then I hate that fucker in the womb.
That's right, you told me about that. Yeah, that's the most literal cannibalism.
Yep, I'm one of them cannabis.
Unless they. I suppose, yeah. So, do we have any other things that we want to respond to?
No, we do not. Do we have any other topics that we wish to broach? Because I don't think chat's asked us any questions about our pink pilling or pink dollaring. Pink strippers. I'm
watching. Well, let's see. Chat, if you want us to talk about something, now would be a great time to let us know. Otherwise, we're just gonna be watching us like fart around for like a certain amount of time. But I can
fart around all day.
Without Prince to. I know. Without Prince and Spacepan to inject a certain quality into the room, like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could, if you really wanted to just watch us talk about whatever, that'd be fine. But if you guys want to have something that's more gaytriarchal, then.
Also, no offense, I can't. I'm not Prince. I don't think any of us can go on to a 20-minute ramble tangent story that ends in fucking someone in a shed. I can't do that.
Let me go get another Red Bull.
I will say Prince's stories are more numerous and more interesting than mine. I can talk for quite a long time about any given topic. But Prince has a story for every situation and every kind of person, and he definitely, you can see his theater background because he can monologue with the best of them.
Yeah. Well, not to mention most of my stories.
A little bit more.
Hey, not to mention most of my stories end up with me flying into something, but that's a different story.
Usually mine end up with, we didn't get arrested or anything.
That reminds me of high school when I was smoking weed. Back when it was illegal.
Yeah, marijuana. I miss marijuana, but
I don't.
that's I think that it's a profoundly. I don't know if I want to say it's a profoundly good thing for society, but I think that compared to alcohol and any number of the other vices that we as a society engage in, I really can't see there being too many problems associated with
Furry porn.
fully
I'm sorry.
legalized and fully. Yeah, the good thing about marijuana
I'm sorry, I thought we
is
were going
that
off on
I don't
vices.
feel like. Yeah. Oh, that wouldn't be so much a vice as it would be kind of just a degenerative condition that we would have to allocate significant public health resources against.
I'm against public
gay
health.
furry porn.
Oof.
Oh yeah.
All right, someone has to do
Chat.
libertarian, but I'm sorry, but I'd be too sarcastic for that because I don't take it seriously sometimes.
You don't take what?
Libertarianism seriously sometimes. I mean, I'm not going to if a lot of them don't.
I'm too old to take any kind of
I feel-
ideology literally,
Mhm.
or seriously for that matter.
My thing about
Actually,
libertarianism
Black
is
Nightfall has a thing that he's brought up earlier today, and that was the I walked away before it was cool video. They said that we should really check it out, and it does sound pretty interesting to me.
Mhm.
I mean, considering I was one of the people
can we
that
put it
did
on?
walk away. I hadn't seen it yet, so that's y'all's discretion.
Nah, I'm not. I
Can
don't
we
want.
put it on?
I don't want YouTube hitting us with an accidental copyright strike, even if he consents, because YouTube
However-
is stupid.
Once we're done for tonight, and I'm not saying that we need to close up anytime soon or anything like that. I do plan on watching it, so I'll definitely have something to say next week about it.
Yeah. As
Okay.
someone who I don't know, I have mixed feelings on the whole walk away thing. Like I was never really a Democrat. I was never really a progressives. I've just been kind of Mr. Standard Center Left Liberal, which with varying, well, not varying degrees of vassalization, just center left liberal most of my life. Not a Democrat, not a progressive. So there's nothing to walk away from since I never walked to it.
Well, maybe you can play hopscotch
I
or
feel
something.
like maybe. I think maybe part of the reason that walk away is kind of significant and resonating is it's actually a good thing for the Gaytriarchy to talk about, because the fact that it's a gay guy talking about walking away from the left is significant because it ties into basically what all of us talk about, which is not so much. I don't think anyone who watched any of our content, whether it be Prince, me, Bacon, Farrell, whatever the hell Spaceman is, I don't think you could call any of us conservative. Not really. I mean, maybe Farrell. I know you. Well, I know you tested kind of conservative on the political compass, but I don't think you would qualify as what a lot of people, at least in the gay community, actually think of as conservative, capital C. But maybe I'm wrong.
In fairness, in places where I live, I mean, how do they perceive people that are gay? Meaning we all have stereotypes that don't necessarily equate with reality.
It is very true. And the fact that the walk away guy is a gay guy, it's kind of symbolic of what's happening with the gay community, with gay men, is that I think walk away is actually an important concept for gay men to embrace. I'm not advocating that gay men should all #walk away. I'm just saying it's really good for them to acknowledge that there's an option now, because there really wasn't before. You were like, as a gay guy, you were a Democrat, or and you voted a certain way, you did a certain thing, and that was the way it was. And if you didn't, you just didn't talk about it because you would be ostracized from everyone. You'd be a bad gay, you'd be a traitor, they'd tear up your gay card. And that's something I talk about. I despise this concept of the gay card, which, even though it's a joke, it's really not a joke. It's a kind of ha, we're not serious, even though we're totally serious about, this is the way you're supposed to act. These are the things you're supposed to do. And it can be funny, like when it's like, oh, you don't like Cher? Oh my God, tear up your gay card. And I'm not offended by that kind of a thing.
Black Not Full said that there's a little more to the video than what we're thinking it is. He said it's more about the person that clearly looks like a woman claiming that she was gay because she identified as non-binary. Read, appropriating the fuck out of our culture. Thank you. Says that she's a woman by. He says that she's a woman by any standard, which we would recognize. Saying that she was married to a guy but was gay because she identified as non-binary. That's fucking nuts.
That is a person deeply in need of.
I don't know. That's a person that I would call a gender head.
That's a person that needs a hobby like collecting elements, and I suggest starting with lithium.
I was gonna say radium, but whatever.
I was gonna say. I actually was gonna. I was going to suggest psychotropic medication because that is.
Well, the problem may be more.
People are trying.
Maybe medication, maybe too much or not enough. One of the two.
Anyways, I was like, too much. I want to have, I guess, a semi-complete, drunken, half-asleep thought on the whole walk-away thing. I haven't seen a whole lot of the videos, but I just don't get why it is people like playing into the social justice hand of, well, if I'm not you, then I'm automatically a conservative. It's like, no, or at least something that's not a left-leaning, but it baffles my mind because it's like there's a lot of left-wing, moderately left-wing things that are still very anti-conservative. I was talking to someone, one of my people in my personal life about some of my political views, and he's like, "Oh, you're a conservative." It's like, I'm not a feminist. That doesn't make me a conservative. I'm still for public education as a thing, public investment in infrastructure, which are things that the right really doesn't seem to want right now. It seems to just want to kick everything to the private sector and just screw any public spending on almost anything other than the police or the going and bombing someone. It's like, I am not remotely a conservative just because I don't agree, just because there's a few non-feminist issues that I don't agree with the right on.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, what I've been telling people now, in the few occasions that I actually do talk about politics IRL, when people sort of ask where I lean, I tell people I'm politically non-binary. I think I might have talked to you about that, Farrell. But
no, that's
but
I
mean, I mean that kind of as a joke, but kind of not, because let's put it this way: if the non-binary thing in gender is idiotic, because it's a physical, real binary. It is a dimorphic situation. There's literally two sexes, two genders. There's no way around it. Exceptions do not disprove the rule. However, on abstract situations like politics and political leanings, it is the binary, the duopoly effect, which has created this situation where literally you must conform to a certain rigidly defined box, identity program, or you don't fit anywhere and you effectively have no voice. And we really do, to quote the social justice warriors, we need to deconstruct this binary, this notion that you're either with them or with them, and with us or with them. There's no middle ground. There's no third or fourth option. One way, or there's the right way and the wrong way, and that's it. Same with the gay guys. Why you have to be a liberal, feminist, controlled, not even beta, just gamma, here's my penis, I'm going to remove it person. And that's it. We really need to just start having our own path and being able and willing to talk about things outside of this pre-approved structure. I feel like I'm okay. I'm using too many words, but you guys know what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, it makes perfect sense. It's great example here. Basically, someone will pick something abstract and they'll try to build, for lack of a better word, an identity off of it. Remember a few years ago when the Myers-Briggs test was this major thing going around?
Yes.
You remember how many people decided to try to change the entire way that they behaved, whether they realized they were doing it or not, because this is what the Myers-Briggs says I am?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like astrology for stupid.
I never actually met anyone that did that.
I met a bunch of them on
Yeah.
Grindr.
Oh my God, they were all over the place. I mean, I ended up, people had asked me what mine was, and I'm like, well, I'm definitely a DGAF. But
DG.
don't give a
Wait,
fuck.
what? I feel like I'm.
You know, instead of an INFJ
I'm
or,
being
you
dense,
know,
okay.
ESFP, I'm like, I'm a DGAF.
Oh, yeah. I remember I took the test and it described me fairly well, but you know, I wouldn't say that it's like, oh my God, that's it. I think it works really well for some people and not so well for others. Like my sister happened to really closely identify, like she was textbook example of the characteristic that she got. But then there are people who there's like, really, that's me, like, and it's how much changing your personality based on your result in one of those things. I do think that is a bit crazy. Say the
Yeah,
least.
but then again, people are crazy. I mean, good example, Munchausen effect.
Mm.
Or as we know on the internet, you know, Tumblr, same thing.
Or my ex.
Oh Lord, your ex and my ex need to go, I don't know, hang out in a padded room together.
I need to get an ex. No,
You're
Do not tell your husband that.
Get someone on the side and then use that person as your ex.
Well, if we're counting people on the side, then yeah, I have lots of exes. But
Well,
no, I never.
I don't know. You and I
never
are friends. We've never met. I mean, I could be your honorary ex. You know, every time I leave, you know, you can call me an asshole or something. That'd be great.
I suppose. I'd rather consummate the relationship before I end it, though.
Nah,
So,
saves
like,
time.
what-
It's called efficiency.
Hey,
You're only getting half my shit.
like I
That's
said
too
in a
efficient.
like I said in a previous stream, I would love to get salted by a deadly weapon.
Mm-hmm.
On the topic of consummation.
As long as it's attached to a desirable pelvis.
I'm gonna sit here with this lost look on my face, y'all.
Well, that's your avatar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got assaulted by a few weapons last night in Berkeley. It was fun.
Oh, Berkeley, that place is a shithole that makes San Francisco look good.
No, Berkeley's terrible, but the bathhouse is wonderful.
Yeah, I've been there once and I'm not itching to go back.
I just get a bath at home, y'all. Every April, whether I need it or not.
You know, it's funny. Like when I go to places like that, I think I mentioned it before. Like I used to not enjoy it as much when I allowed my conceptions of gay culture to define me in that place, because you know, if you go in there with the gay filter, like, you know, like, oh my God, I look like this, I have to do that, like, then you're probably going to hate yourself unless you're just absolutely gorgeous and have a penis that can go down to your knee. But you know, when you go in there and you just act more like Jane Goodall, just sort of observing everything around you, it's actually quite interesting and it can be a lot of fun, particularly if you're flexible. Either way. Because I mean, like, it's sort of like gay culture, but not even gay culture, because there's a lot of, you know, words and a lot of other stuff. It's really kind of just like homosexual male culture at its most stripped down, literally and figuratively, because in a bathhouse, people don't really talk to each other and they're not really wearing anything usually. I mean, like, maybe they're wearing a towel or some other colorful garb, but generally speaking, you know, everyone's just sort of at their most exposed. I keep making puns without really meaning to in this case, but I'm being semi-serious. That you watch a naked man or a mostly naked man walking around with other naked men. That's my favorite kind. But you know, the music is playing in the background. Everyone's just walking around, sizing each other up. There's no communication. It kind of makes me, I don't know, from an evolutionary psychology point of view, it's very interesting just seeing like all this raw sexuality and a lot of nonverbal communication. Like I kind of have to remind myself, like when I get out of there, that I can't just, like, you know, stare at guys quite as openly and make the amount of eye contact that I do in that place. in the regular world, because that would be very confrontational per your one of your videos that Farrell about body language, which I did enjoy.
Actually,
the ability to make
I make people nervous anyhow in person.
Same here sometimes.
Mhm.
I won't. I can't imagine how it's going to be like when my coworkers learn of my proclivities. It's probably going to be when I have to chew out some kid for being overly flaming.
Could be like when someone at work decided that she was going to try to out me.
Yeah.
Everyone just looked at her like she was a
Why?
fucking idiot. It's like, yeah, no shit. In other
No.
words, the sky is blue and the grass is green. What's your point?
But she trying to go, but I'm clutching my pearls and he's a gay.
Oh, you know her.
This person actually thought that they were going to hurt you by exposing your shameful ways.
I don't know if it was hurt me or, build themselves up because they had this juicy, delicious little secret, and everybody's like, yeah, no shit. His husband used to be one of our clients. Yeah. What's the deal here?
You know what? I don't know if this is a gay thing, but I totally thought of a reference like that. Did you guys watch Daria?
Yes. I like Daria.
I love Daria. She was my girl. So you, Farrell, like when she tried to, you remember when Sandy, Daria's younger sister's nemesis, the super popular girl, finally figured out that Daria, or finally heard that Daria was Quinn's sister. Quinn finally admitted it, and she's like, "Oh my god, did you know that she was her sister?" And everyone's like, yeah, we always knew. We were just being polite." Because for those of you who don't know, Quinn's sister never acknowledged that Daria was her sister. She always said she was the maid or her cousin or something. It's like for the whole series until I think it was at the end of the series, she finally acknowledged her.
Wow.
It was sweet and funny. They're rebooting Daria. I'm hoping I'm not 100% sure what they're doing. Like, one report says that they're, that Daria and it's going to be Daria and Jody, where Jody will be her friend now. And I'm like, oh god, it's like, why? Like that right there was like, okay, so they took, instead of the vaguely Asian looking best friend who was never explicitly Asian, now you're going to make her best friend being the only black character, who used to make a point of saying she was the only black character, which was way more poignant than tokenizing her. I don't know if they're doing that, or I saw an image on Twitter or somewhere where they showed like the art where like all what the characters are going to look like when they're all grown up. Now, if they're doing that, if they're doing like all the same characters all grown up, then that's another thing. I'm perfectly okay with that, and I'll dig that up. But if it's just a reboot,
sorry, the reboots that I've seen lately, maybe it's just the old sinking in or something like that. But I'm just like, no, please leave it perfect and pristine, just the way it was. Don't fuck this up.
Yeah, because I don't like
reboots.
Like, I don't see how MTV could do a modern set one in the same style that Daria was in like the early 2000s. Like that era is kind of dead and gone when it comes to show business in a lot of ways.
Oh, not to mention how MTV has
like
gone full SJW.
That what?
It has totally, which is why I was concerned. MTV's totally SJW now.
Oh yeah, that was my main. That's my main issue. It's like they're not going to have the same level of humor and development anything like most mainstream.
Well, there is no humor anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Anything mainstream is not going to be to the same level that it was. I mean, like I was even watching it was some gay. It was one of the shows, like one of the movies I either will do a review of or have done. It's basically, it was set in the early 2000s. Like, yeah, you will never see that made now because it's not, one, culturally relevant anymore, and two, there's no humor anymore in like mainstream gay anything.
And it's kind of interesting to imagine Daria existing, like the real Daria from the Daria show existing in a, like, if they transplanted her into an SJW version of Daria's universe. Because I mean, she always was isolated and sort of like, you people are stupid, but like, 'cause I think Daria would totally just rip apart that kind of mentality, and that would actually be if oh my god! Now, if MTV wanted to actually, use Daria to if they wanted to redeem themselves, then they should totally put Daria like on a college campus surrounded by SJWs and just watch her skewer them into pieces. But they'll never do that.
Yeah, unfortunately,
if they did, that would be the best possible. Oh my god, Daria as a college teacher. That would be the best thing ever.
That's what I was just going to say.
Daria filling in for the gender studies professor.
It's like you already have everything.
Oh my god, that would be fucking awesome.
Could you imagine that, though, Daria?
Oh my god, that is a fan show.
Utter and absolute train wreck.
That is a fan show waiting to happen.
You heard it here.
Oh my god, that we need to crowdfund that. Like,
yeah. You heard it here, folks. Daria is a tenured gender studies professor. She's got to be tenured.
Oh my god! A lot at the newly. What they should do is like that evil scheming Asian principal, like, who always went about Longdale High. They should have Daria work at the newly created Longdale University. So like, and then with the same principal and all the same teachers. So I don't know how that would work, but it would be so amazing.
But I mean, could you imagine though, Daria? Though tenured Daria as a gender studies professor, just skewering SJWs and can't get fired.
I don't think she would ever be a gender studies professor, but you know what I could actually see happening though, because you remember the teacher, the real man-hater. I can't remember her name. What?
I could see her getting conned into it. Mm-hmm. Oh shit! I
could see her. I could see her. You know what I could see her doing though? I could see her getting ensnared by them in being in an unrelated department. Because Daria is a writer. I could see her being in theater or like teaching creative writing and being constantly butting up against the gender study politics. Because we kind of already saw a little bit of that with that one man-hater teacher that she had, like where that woman existed as sort of a parody of that philosophy. Only now they would do that only with her being serious, not her being this throwaway joke character. Oh, well, hey, we're talking about Daria reboots, and we don't have any more articles, so I think maybe this would be a good time for us to conclude. Do you guys have any thoughts that you want to continue, or should we leave it on a high note?
Of us talking about Daria?
I mean, it's fast. I mean, I can't. There are 14 people watching us talk about Daria, so I must say it can't be that bad if 14 people are still watching us. Like, because the number has stayed fairly consistent.
These are 14 fantastic
we love you,
people.
14 people.
We love you.
We love you so much. We pity you, but we love you.
Oh, I have one final thought on the Daria subject.
What?
Could you imagine her being the Anita Sarkeesian? Could you imagine her being the Anita Sarkeesian of that universe, just being like, "Yeah, I'm doing this for the money. What do you think I was doing this for?"
Or no,
just being honest about it.
Oh, no, better yet, but no. Here, the final thought, like that I will leave us with, the final image is like when the Daria film is made, Daria actually meets Anita Sarkeesian, the real Anita Sarkeesian. That would be oh my god, Daria the YouTuber. That's what we really. Could you imagine Daria on like making YouTube videos?
Yeah,
she totally would too.
She would basically
be angry and
she'd be the Shane Dawson or Amazing Atheist of their YouTube.
Oh god, it's like Daria as like Sargon of Akkad. That would be so amazing.
Daria of Akkad.
Now, I've never seen Daria and Sargon in the same place. I'm just saying.
You know, we have no proof. No proof at all. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to leave. All right. So, everyone shill for your channels now.
Okay, I am Saint to Bacon. My link should
Chill,
be below.
damn you.
Hey, I am shilling you, cat. Do I have to get the
Chill.
cat out? Anyways, yes, I am Saint to Bacon. I make stuff. I Twitch a lot, and my link is down below.
And I'm Jason with Martial Lore, formerly Feral Cat, and you may recognize me from dick pics on your boyfriend's phone.
I have all of those pics. Your phone needs at least 8. Your phone needs at least 8 gigs of RAM to handle it, and perhaps a NVIDIA GPU. But just saying.
Anyways, we'll be going.
Yes, I am Arcatsuke. I am the man mother of GigTOW, and I am seeing all of you off. See you next week, same time, same place.
Yeah, that's me, Heaven.